Carlos Ramirez, owner of NVS Audio in Roselle, New Jersey. So I speak about proper gauge wire, oxygen-free copper wire, and some people listen. Actually, a lot of people listen, but many choose to ignore it. So now we have a bike in here for a repair that was done by another shop. I'm not going to show the bike. I'm only going to show the wiring. I don't want any problems. There's enough issues, but we do stuff a certain way for a reason. And if it was done right, the bike wouldn't be here. So people don't understand sometimes the simple principle of electronics and the flow of current. So this bike has a 5,000.1 on it. A 5,000 watt amplifier is going to draw at full tilt over 400 amps of current. So it's running at 2 ohms instead of 1 ohm. So we'll say the current draw is half. As a matter of fact, I want to be as precise as possible. I'm going to go grab the manual and see what the exact current draw is. Okay, even on the website, they show a double mini A&L fuse holder, which is what we use, because the amplifier draws so much current. Okay, it says it right here in the manual. EX5K is designed to use minimum 0 gauge cable. To make the math easy, I went online and got a watts to amps calculator. So we're dealing with DC voltage. We're at 25, we'll do 5,000 watts because it's a 5,000 watt amp. So we'll see what the maximum current draw is and calculate. It's a 12 volt system. So at full tilt, the amplifier draws 416 amps of current. So now, being that this amplifier is run at 2 ohms instead of 1 ohm, we'll drop this down to 2,500 watts. And we'll calculate again. 208 amps of current. Now, the issue with this is 0 gauge oxygen-free copper can carry 300 amps of current. They use 4 gauge aluminum wire, which is only good for about 80 to 90 amps of current. So the wire is being overloaded by at least double, which creates heat, and I can prove it. So 200 amps of current. So we'll go over the bike and we'll show you the fuse. Okay, so this is a 250 amp fuse, which has been completely obliterated because they're using aluminum wire. So it means that since the fuse was the proper fuse, because we were only pulling 208, since we were only pulling, oh, that's another issue too. The rear battery is not fused. So there's a fuse here, but there's a battery in the torque pack. So that means this line is live. So that's another mistake, but whatever. So we have a live line running to the back of the motorcycle unprotected. So 250 amp fuse, trying to draw 208 amps of current. The wire cannot support 208 amps of current, so of course it didn't just burn the fuse. The fuse was literally melting and dripping out of the bottom of the fuse holder. That's what you see there. That's how hot it got. So you can see it's Euphoria 5K, and as you can see, there's a ton of room in there because that's 4 gauge aluminum wire when it should be 0 gauge oxygen-free copper wire. We're gonna go ahead and pull that out to show you. So you can see the size difference between the 4 gauge wire and the 0 gauge wire. So you see how much smaller in the hole the 4 gauge is, and the 0 gauge actually fits in the hole with room to spare. See that? There you can see the size difference comparison at the fuse holder. Now here's the bike we're delivering today. We have 0 gauge feed, 0 gauge feed. Now this goes from the underseat battery, 0 gauge, to the under tail battery, both lithiums, And there's our fuse holder where it's 0 in, 0 out. And it's got double mini A&L fuses. So it could support the 500 amps of current draw across 2 lithium batteries. Same amplifier it's on the other bike. It's a 5K, EX5K, but we have 0 gauge power and 0 gauge ground, Stinger, oxygen-free copper. So this amplifier is going to get the full current because we're using the proper gauge wire.